Welcome, everybody, to an exciting episode of 4.5 Marks. We have a very, very exciting guest today. The man, the myth, the legend, and the owner of some really sweet-ass jackets, Duke Cornell.
They are pretty good jackets. I've had quite a healthy collection of them.
I'll tell you what, that's what sold me the first time I saw you. You walked in the ring, I said, damn, that's a sweet-ass jacket. You turned around and said, I know. You walked into the ring, and I was like, oh, that's my guy. Like, that's my guy right there. It was at PWP, funny enough, first time I saw you. Besides Magnum, but it was there. You had I don't remember who exactly you had a match with, but you turned around, you made eye contact with me, and said, I know, and hopped in the ring. And I was like, damn, like I felt so good about that. So.
That sounds like me. Yeah.
It was cool. It was the one with the like the Cthulhu on the back.
Okay. Yeah. That's my tribute to my buddy Marcus Crane. He had before he passed away, he had his Dream Eater clothing line. Cool. And so I got one of his patches just when he was starting out, and I just threw it right on the back there. And then after he had passed, I went, all right, we're going to start wearing this everywhere. So,
It's a nice jacket. I mean, granted, every single one that you've ever came out with is nice, but that was the first introduction for me, at least.
Yeah, they're all really good ones. It's pretty funny because when I was getting them all put together, it obviously the insignia is what the insignia is, and there's this nice lady at my mom's church that put on all the patches, and so I imagine she had to get rinsed in holy water afterwards. But yeah, she did a great job putting them where I asked her to, and just asked no questions, and it was like these are. She did a great job on them, and the coats are awesome. They've withheld the test of time. There's my big Santissima Muerte, that big heavy one with the Reaper on the back.
Yep.
That has withheld so much. That poor thing's been beat up and it's been traveled across the country. It's made it all the way to Rhode Island and back.
Oh wow!
And I don't know how it's done it, but it's made it.
And still looks great.
Yeah, it's covered in a little bit of dirt and blood, but you know what? It's still holding up.
The stories it could tell, right?
Oh my gosh.
Well, awesome. I wanted to jump into our first little spot here, but I always ask everybody every time they come on the show, what would be your earliest childhood memory of wrestling? Maybe not you wrestling yourself, but maybe on TV or in person, anything that you can remember that stood out to you.
Yeah, so my earliest memory, it would probably be watching. I had gone over to my grandpa's house and I watched him talk with my cousins because they had all got into wrestling, and I just wanted to be included, so I had no idea what was even going on, and so we sat down and watched. It was something with Sting. I want to say it was Flair because they always had their rounds, but I was watching the tape with them. And I went, I think I need to get into this so I have something to talk to my cousins, because everybody has the cool cousin, right? And you want to have something to have, like, you want to talk to the cool cousin. You want to have something in common with him. And I didn't have anything as far as, I was still watching, like, Bucky O'Hare and the Toadborgs at the time. And I was like, I need to socialize. I recognized it in myself that I was just behind the times. So I just started watching wrestling after that. And it was the first match that I can remember, and it's the most obscure match. It was like Road Dogg versus Edge from Monday Night Raw, and it was something where Road Dogg was in a wrist lock, and he did the wiggle thing and then punched Edge in the head. And I went, this is what everybody's talking about? Like, this is what's going on. And I was like, well, maybe I'm not giving it a fair chance. And I watched the rest of the show, and I was like, all right, cool. Next Monday, we're doing this. And then I learned about WCW after that, because I was like, oh, I didn't see Sting at all on this channel. Then I realized that there was more going on than what I was giving myself credit for. It's like, okay, let's keep digging in. So yeah, it's the most random match, Edge and Road Dogg. But yeah, that's where all of it started.
That's so cool. So just a random, like, flicking on the TV, trying to figure out, like, oh, I tried to relate to family here, and you happen to stumble across that, and then fell in love with it immediately, or was it like a journey too?
So it was, I understood a little bit about it to where it was like, what was so captivating? Because it was more hearing the people. It was listening to the crowd and listening to the reactions. There was Stone Cold that came through, and you're like, all your friends had the Austin 316 shirt at the time. So you're like, oh, this is the guy, and he's drinking beer and kicking ass. You're like, yeah, I get it. And then it was just a little bit more time, a little more exposure, and I fell for it more and more and more. I want to say it was an instant attraction, but it was really, I acclimated myself to it to understand it more. And then I was finally like, we're all in, baby. We're going to do this.
So from that moment on, was that where you like enrolled or found a way to start training yourself, or was that like just the pursuit of like, yeah, I'm going to do this?
So that was all when I was like 10. It was when I was really trying to find something to talk to them about. And then, as fate would have it, they decided they didn't like it anymore.
Wow.
I was like, oh, well, that's super cool. But I didn't give up on it. I was like, shoot, I just really like this now, so we're just going to keep watching. And then it was probably, by the time I was 12, 13, I was sitting there like, you know what, I'm going to give this a real honest go. Like, there's nothing that really intrigues me quite like this.
Cool.
I'm just going to find a way to do this. And then it was by the time I was 18, I found a college that was going to be close to a training building. I was like, okay, so I can go chase this degree so my mom can stay off my back, for one, and then I can go do what I really want to do. So, went and got just a quick 2-year degree over at Iowa Central, and then I went and hopped down to University of Iowa, and I was 30 minutes away from a training center. So I was like, all right, here's how we're going to do this.
Cool.
And so from there, gosh, we're outside of statute of limitations on a lot of things, so we can talk about it a little bit better. So when I was 20, I started over at University of Iowa, and I didn't have a real job, but I knew I wanted to train, and I knew I needed to pay for my apartment, I needed to pay for groceries, and I wanted to pay for training. Well, I'm in school full-time, so I can't really do that, and then I'm going to be on the road on the weekends for shows, so that really narrows down that time. I guess we're going to sell blood. So I went and I was donating plasma and did all that, and I was like, this is some money, but I need more money, because this ends are just not meeting on this. So, took it another step, and I went, we're going to gamble. I'm going to take what I have, I'm going to learn how to gamble, and we're going to make money. Now, I'm doing this when I'm 20. You can't do this until you're 21. So,
right.
I'm very much illegally gambling for the first 7 months of my training. And so, I'm doing that. So, I'm selling blood, gambling to double, triple, quadruple all of my money, pay for my rent, pay for my groceries, pay for training, pay to be on the road. And then I'll go sleep in the cold training building. That way I'm already there so I can start training. And then I wonder why I'm sick and losing weight so fast. Because I'm selling all of my blood and sitting in cold buildings. I'm like,
right.
well, this is weird. It must be the chicken I'm eating. No. It's the
weather.
It was everything else that I was doing. And so finally when I got to a spot where I could like make some actual money, I wasn't so sick so often. I went, oh yeah, it's because I'm giving away all of my immune system.
Yep.
And then I go sit in a cold building. Didn't learn that one in school, but yeah, that was when the journey just really started there.
That's super cool. Where did you train at?
So I trained in Wellman, Iowa, with Central Empire Wrestling. Mm-hmm. Austin Bayless was my initial trainer. After about 6 months, that's when I finally met Jason Strife, and that's when we were getting out on the road. He would have a couple adult libations and give us some of the best wrestling lessons I've ever heard. Sometimes he didn't have pants on when he did it, but and it was not wrestling related either. Just decided pants were too hot.
You need a belt for a reason.
Yeah, and from there it was just kind of on the road and then learning from everybody I could. But Strife was a huge mentor for a lot of us. With Fowler and Bogot. You guys didn't get to meet him, but Sean Nautilus, we used to call him Sean Not a Lot of Moves, because he's 6'7", 300 pounds. He didn't need to do anything. He'd pick you up, pick you down, punch you, punch, kick, stomp, roar. That was kind of what he did. And Sean, if you're watching this, I love you, buddy. You know I love you, but you knew you were Sean Not a Lot of Moves. It was even your name. You gave it to you. You're like Kobe Bryant. You nicknamed yourself Sean Not a Lot of Moves. That was fine. But yeah, that was kind of the genesis of all of it. It all started there, and then it was kind of funny when I met Strife for the first time. I was around about 6 months, and he'd been going hot for about 2 years, and a lot of people knew who he was, and Brian and Fowler were really, really high on him because they watched a lot of IWA Mid-South, and that was where he was really starting to cut his teeth, and they were talking about him like he was some kind of big deal. And I had no idea who he was, and he had no idea who I was. We didn't really care for each other. And we didn't talk until about 30 minutes before we were going out there to go hit each other in the face. And then we became brothers. So, I mean, it was just, we just looked at each other like, your shit doesn't stink. And then we come back and it's like, hey, let's go hang out after this. So it was, right. Yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah, he I have only met him once. I never really got to conversate with him, but everything that I've heard about him, it seems like he was that type of guy to kind of give you a little bit of shit, and then he warms up really quick, especially after a beer.
Yes, and that was the beauty with Strife. It's funny because now I get to talk to his last class of kids, and they remember him as wrestling dad, as wrestle dad, and I was like, yeah, but like I grew up with your wrestle dad, and I know all the wild stories about wrestle dad, and so as much as he sits there and browbeats you guys on this dumb shit that you guys are trying to get away with, I watched him do it, and now I'm sitting here telling you why he said don't do it, and it's kind of funny because they'll talk about where it was he'd be sitting in the car, he'd be playing on a Nintendo DS, and he'll pass out, and I'll be like, that doesn't sound like the Strife I had to drag out of Texas because he was dancing between two big girls to Grease Lightning. And like, wait, hold on. He did what? It's like, oh yeah, no, that was pretty standard.
Normal stuff.
Yeah.
Sign me up, by the way.
Everyday business.
Well, let's revert back then. The first match, it looks like it was in that in the IWA Mid-South. It was Yellow Dog 2 and 3. Does that ring a bell at all? I have no idea what that would mean, but was there multiple Yellow Dogs?
So there was 2 Yellow Dogs. I know Strife was one of them, and we're past statutes limitations. The other one was Fowler. They were trying to get 2 dogs in on this one. And I think, is that the one where it was me and John West?
Correct.
Okay. So that was an IWA tryout show. And it was him trying to get us on. I don't think we paid anything, but that was usually the Ian Rotten hustle was to, hey, if you want to try out $25 and I'll not watch your match. And it's like, cool. And everybody fell for it. Like, because there was like 16 matches on that card. Oh my gosh, It lasted forever. But yeah, that was an interesting experience. That was probably the second time I ever wrestled him, and he was the dog, and I was like, okay, so this won't be too bad. And then I took a jumping reverse DDT from the top, and I was like, what? I thought the dog was easy. Why did I take this? And it's well. No, it was a different era when I came in. It was
right.
It went easy usually just meant you fell on your head once instead of 14 times.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Man. Shortly thereafter, too, it looks like that's when you made your first match with Magnum in Council Bluffs around the 2009-2010 time.
Yep, that would have been the very first match of. If you ever get Pete on here, for one, be patient. 2, he's got all kinds of little nitty-gritty details on stuff.
He's the guy. We've had him on once before, and he's filled us in.
Okay.
Funny enough, I had footage that he didn't have.
Oh.
And I sent it to him.
You know that kept him up for the next 3 days.
I'm aware. He told me.
Pete, I have a theory about Pete. He doesn't actually sleep. He just powers down to 40%. I was on a road trip with him and 2 other guys. We were all getting in and cutting our teeth, except Pete. He'd been around in wrestling for 57 years at this time. And we get this room, and it was me and one other guy, Dave Clark. You guys missed out on him too. He's crazy. He's wild. But we ended up splitting the bed, and then Pete slept on the floor. There was one point in the middle of the night, I just rolled over and looked over the side of the bed, and he's just got his hands over his chest, and he's just looking up at the ceiling. There was no blink. There was no I woke him up. He was just powered down to 40%, just at rest. And I was just like, Pete, what are you doing? Why aren't you asleep? It's like 3 a.m. I can't. Oh, what's wrong, Pete? He just kind of hummed at me. And I was like, oh, that's vibrate mode? Like, what are we doing? Never mind. I don't want to know, Pete. I'm going to bed. But no, I don't think Pete actually, well, we caught him sleeping one time. That's an embarrassing story. I won't put that on camera here for you, Pete. But usually it's just he powers down and then he just kind of sits up and starts the day. But, so that first one, is that where it was me and Yellow Dog on that
You
one?
and Yellow Dog.
Okay.
It says Council Bluffs 2009.
All right. Yep, that was back in the Armory.
Yeah.
So that was the Curious George era of Duke. So
I saw that photo not too long.
So when you're cutting your teeth and you don't know what to do with your hair, you just buy a $15 pair of clippers and you just go. You just clean it up and then you'll figure out your hair later. It's either that or it grows out and it looks awful and you got like this little fro thing going on and you can't style it and you're just like, you know what? We're just going to clean it all off. I didn't know, and no one told me until years later. I just looked like a shredded Curious George. Because it was all close. This was all close. I have this perfectly round head. My ears suck. So I just looked like Curious George for a long time. And I thought I looked like a bad dude. I thought I was out there just taking people's heads off and beating them up. Nope. Nope. I looked like a children's character for a very long time.
I would have never guessed.
Yeah.
Even with the photo. I mean, I saw the reference, but I didn't get that. So
Oh,
I'll save you that.
forever. Oh, thank you. At least someone didn't see it. The rest of us were like,
Just don't
he's
wear
one
yellow.
man. Yeah, he's one yellow hat guy away from just a whole new gimmick.
That's kind of ironic with the yellow dog too.
Yeah, he was my handler. Is what happened.
All right, jumping into it. I mean, I know how special Jason Strife was to a lot of people, not just yourself, but even to us, right? Just to see how much Magnum has grown, the legacy has been carried on and continued, and it's flourishing. I mean, to put it frankly, right? I'd like to touch base on just how much he meant to you, and maybe some of the stories that you have from, going at this together. I mean, a lot of it sounds like you guys did this together in a way.
Yeah. When Strife started Magnum and made it the real serious push, because there's a couple from the Armory where he was kind of feeling the waters to see if he really wanted to do it, because originally it was there was PWP that was also happening in the area, and he said, I want to make sure there's more work for my friends. So he took on an extra show, like the night before what PWP would be, and then it was everybody's in the area, everybody can hang out, and we can all just kind of be together. And it was he had the right idea. And so with that, it was after these few shows, he just goes, you know what? I'm going to make a real serious push for it. Like, okay. And so when he started it, he had about 5 guys that he knew he could build everything around. And it was Fowler, Brian, myself, and then him and Sean, because he wanted to have a big monster. He knew that the 3 of us were reliable, and also Donnie. Donnie was another big factor. So there was like 5, 6 disciples. That's kind of how I decided. It's how I say it.
Sure.
And so he was building everything around that. And we started over there in the Eagles Club when it came to like this real serious push. And he wanted to make this perfect card. He wanted everything to go off without a hitch. He wanted his guys to get opportunities to showcase themselves in situations that they never got. Like with me, I got to wrestle Eric Cannon in that main event.
That's sweet.
And then he wrestled Shane Hollister, who's another Midwest staple. Mm-hmm. And they never touched before, and I don't think they touched after. So this is kind of a one and done for them. And then Bogat and Dave Clark, they had 5 minutes just dropping each other on each other's head. It was absolute magic. And then Fowler, he had Matt Cage, who's fantastic talent. It was really amazing card. Donnie was on there. Joey kind of snuck in on the last second because he was coming in with people, and Strife was running low, and he said, hey, does anybody know if anyone else is coming? And I text Joey real quick, and I said, hey, do you remember your gear? And he goes, I never leave home without it. Cool. Perfect. You're on, it sounds like. And so for those first 3 shows, Joey was never really booked, but he just kept showing up with gear, and he kept being a utility player. And Strife goes, he's in. He's been my guy. He's been my pinch hitter for the last 3 shows. I just got a spot for him. So, yeah, we started there in that Armory. There was 163 people in that. It was such a low ring. Such a low ring. I mean, we might as well have been standing on the ground. And it wouldn't matter too much. But, yeah, there was some crazy times to see everything go that way, and we would always break a ceiling panel. There was always a rope that would come off. In that first show, we were so close to not breaking the ring until it was Cannon and I, and he sent me off into the rope sent me off into the corner. Whole thing came down and just launched into my back after I'd already hit it. So I got hit twice by the buckle, and then he starts choking me with the rope, and it's a very, very memorable one. I still have scars on my chest from him kicking my ass that night.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he hamburgered me really, really good. But yeah, we started there. It was very grassroots on that one. We were there even when the crowd started to dwindle a little bit, just because once you head into the summer, when you're still trying to establish something, it takes a little bit.
Right.
And so we were there for the really short crowds, the really big crowds, and then to watch it grow into everything that it did, to go from Soho to every other building afterwards, the side room, and now all the way where we're at with the German American Society. To see this growth has been crazy to me. And just, I know it's what he wanted, but originally to believe that it started out as, I just want something for my friends to do, for it to become what it has, and it's to become a destination when you come over this way for any kind of talent. It's remarkable to see what was built and what's being continued.
Right. And to hear that Omaha's like a flyover state for wrestling is just incredible to me. I would have never guessed. So about Strife, if you had to explain, I guess, him in one sentence, or like something that he would say that everyone would be like, yeah, that's Strife. If you had to quantify that, how would you do it?
If I had to say something of Strife, probably his biggest quote. God damn it. Everybody knows him from that, because everybody said something that pissed him off at some point, or it annoyed him, or it was just his response to anything, truly. But to encapsulate him, I don't know if you could really put too many words to really do him much justice, because he was
great.
He was very charismatic. He was, when you got him away from wrestling and he wasn't focused on that, and you could talk to him about Metal Gear Solid or cars or just anything else, he was always a genuinely good person. Wrestling, he loved it and he hated it at the same time. He was very much, and this, he'd be 7 feet tall if I ever told him this to his face, but he was very much this area's Roddy Piper, to where you really can't just compare him to someone else. He was very much his own person, and in a way that Rowdy was too, to where you can't really put your finger on it. It's explosive. He's dynamic. He's charismatic. He knows how to do all of this, and he knew it on a level that some kid out of Council Bluffs, Iowa, had no business of knowing how to do. But he got it on a different level, and for us to have been so fortunate to have been on the road with him and get these lessons from him, and to even have this time with him and share a ring with him, to just learn just from hands-on experience of just beating the hell out of each other. It's insane to think about that. Right. That's really all that I could compare. And I know he's a huge Piper fan, so Strife, you're welcome. I'll give you the rub even though you're not here. He's very much on that level of you can't just say he's like this guy. The only thing that's comparable is to say that he has the same kind of energy as someone else.
Right. Because I've heard a lot of different things, and I've watched videos of him from the past, but even coming out, he's telling people, like, I don't know why you bought tickets. I don't know why you're here. Go home. Like, we hate you. And everyone's still cheering. It was the most, again, touching on your point of being charismatic. I mean, you have to be a special type of person to say all those things. And again, it's a show, but to say all those things to people and for them to still enjoy the show is just awesome, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I remember countless shows where he would go out to the ring and start screaming at fans to go home and leave and don't come back next month so he doesn't have to do this. And he'll throw their garbage back at them. And then the building's more full the next month. It's like, I would have never came back if you would have thrown trash at me. But they all came back. And then they brought their friends with them. And it was like, none of this makes sense. And sometimes it would annoy him because then there was more things that he had to pick up and more chairs that had to get set out. And he's like, now I don't have a chair. God damn it. And then it was, but he loved it. He at the core of it, to where it was, he wanted something for his friends to do, for where they didn't have an opportunity to have more. Because, yeah, Omaha kind of is a flyover destination when it comes to wrestling. I mean, this whole Midwest strip is kind of in a really tough spot. I mean, you can go up to Minneapolis. There's a little bit, but there's kind of an atmosphere up there where they take care of their own. And then, right. I mean, Missouri, there used to be a couple eyes there because Harley's school, but yep. Harley's no longer with us. And then, get into Oklahoma, Arkansas, the panhandle of Texas. There's just not a lot as far as companies, as far as just any kind of visual anything.
Desirable locations
yeah.
and promotions.
And it's not until you get about as far west as Oregon and California, then you start seeing some more where they're Washington, But yeah, it kind of gets to be a wasteland after Chicago if you start heading west. So he worked really hard to be able to provide something here. And it's crazy that, with against all odds and against everything that he was ever told, because he was told a lot by big offices to where it's like, no one's looking over here. I don't know why you're trying. And he went, we're just going to keep trying.
Wow.
And so it's just big push. And I think it's made a pretty sizable dent.
100%. I mean, that passion outweighs everything, honestly. Yeah. As long like passion and hard work, those two things go hand in hand. And once you develop something out of it, I mean, the sky's the limit for sure.
And he was stubborn as all hell, too. There was no backing him off. As much as he sat and said he wasn't going to run into the show and he was going to retire from wrestling and he hates the business and everyone should quit and burn their boots while they're still in them, he wouldn't have done it any other way. He would say that Saturday night after a show, and then Sunday I'd get a text, hey, Bubba, what do you think of this? And then it was back to work. He hated it and he loved it, and then he hated it again, but then he loved it even more. It was a very torrid relationship for him because that's just been him.
Yeah,
it's just been him.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of different stories, so that goes hand in hand for sure. I want to pivot a little bit. Now we've seen you, fortunately, in two different styles of matches. We have your singles contentions. We also have your tag team. I personally think that you like to lean more towards tag team wrestling, but maybe I'm wrong. What do you prefer, singles or tag team?
I really like my tag stuff. It's what I did for basically the first half of my career. I got my singles opportunities, and I did a lot of good stuff that way. But most of it, I really made my bones on tag wrestling. And then when I came up, there really wasn't tag teams. Like, we were the tag team, whether it was Bo and I or Joey and I, Nautilus and I. Like, I was the consistent tag team guy because I was the guy who was able to do all of it. And for 10 years, just kind of traveled around. It was just different tag titles in different states: North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, for a lot of times, Nebraska, Missouri. We got tag titles. Sean and I actually won the AIWF tag titles, which from my understanding, they're recognized as a world tag team title. So, really kind of globetrotted on a lot of this, and that's really where I made my bones, and it's a way different science when you put everything together, because you do have that guy in the corner to where he can help you out, and it's opposed to just two guys out there trying to figure it out. It's four, and sometimes you get a mess, sometimes you get a masterpiece.
Right.
Sometimes it's a disaster piece, and it's absolutely wonderful. But I would say, I really like my tag stuff, but I've just always had more fun with tag as opposed to single.
Yeah, it's a whole different psychology for sure. So
yeah,
it's super cool. I know we have an avid lover of tag team wrestling. He's the guy.
How you doing?
But he's always on the tag team. As soon as something's announced, he's like, I got to pay attention to this match. So I think it's super cool. We have a couple tag teams I wanted to go over. First one being with Bo God, the beautiful bodies.
Yeah.
Explain how that came to be. You guys are just shredded, huh?
Well, Bo never really got shredded.
Okay.
Or beautiful. He was a body, though. I love you, Bo. So it was very much when we were just starting, and it was, we need to find something so we have a spot on the card. And him and I just always had chemistry, whether it was we were working each other or if we ended up being a tag. And it was like, okay, so now that we're a tag, we got to have some kind of an angle. We got to do something that's different. We got to, can't really do badass tag teams because there's enough guys that are running around. I'm badass, MMA gloves. Like, everybody had this kind of shit going on. So it's like, all right, well, we'll just take the exact opposite. We're going to be little frou-frou Philly fucks. And that's what we did, is we got cheap bathrobes and feather boas. I had a stuffed panda named Pandy, but we had a pipe in Pandy, and we used her as a weapon.
Hell yeah, what?
There was a street fight that we had where I wrestled in Pink Panther pajamas and flip-flops.
You won, I assume.
Oh, yeah. And then at some point, we evolved it into we were wearing body glitter. I wrote sexy on my stomach, and he wrote back on his back. That way we could say we brought sexy back. I ended up with furry kick pads at one point. We came out to Britney Spears' Womanizer.
Oh, let's go.
Until we moved up to Carly Rae Jepsen's Call Me Maybe. And that's when we would have... this is a trip down memory lane here. So when we had Carly Rae Jepsen, we would come out before the music would even start playing, like just blatantly disregard that we're about to have an entrance. We would come out and get people out of the crowd and have them make a fan tunnel for us, right? And so then we would go run back, tell them to play the music, and then when the cue would hit, we would power slide out through these people, and that was the beautiful bodies. Is we made a spectacle out of everything that we could, and it was fabulous.
Oh, yeah.
Even though we were not fabulous looking, because at some point I did start growing hair, and Brian he's Brian, and but yeah, we beautiful bodies. It got us a lot. I mean, we evolved that into Team Man Pretty at one point when we went over to Ohio. We were there for a few.
I see you guys wrestled a lot of different states and different promotions as the Beautiful Bodies.
Yeah, that one over at Midwest Wrestling in Ohio, Niles, Ohio, 16-hour drive one way.
Wow.
Yeah, because we were promised that there was going to be so many cool things that were going to happen for us because we were going to be the young guys on the block. We got a lot of great opportunities there, but our time got cut short after we had drove that far. I watched the promoter walk up to me with a stack of money, and then he cut off $40 to hand it to me after we drove 16 hours with no sleep. And I said, I think you're going to pay us a little bit more, or I'm going to break your arm. We got a little bit more, and I didn't have to break his arm, but I couldn't walk back to Brian after that with just $40 for 32 hours round trip.
Yeah,
and for neither of us to have slept. So it's like, I need to come back with a little bit more here. But no, that Ohio was great. We were all over in Illinois, the Beautiful Bodies. Yeah, it was a great time. Everything was really fun. I don't regret it because I learned a lot of cool things. But I'm certainly glad that my kids weren't around to see it, because I don't know if they would ever take me seriously if I ever told them to not do something. So hey guys, time to pick this up, and you used to wear body glitter, and then go back to doing exactly what they were doing, and it was like, well, you're right, I don't have anything for that. All right, just whatever, leave it. I'm gonna go cry.
Right. I mean, I think it's super cool. And as knowing you now, right, and kind of the dark persona that you have, I mean, everyone transitions at some point.
Yeah. I certainly
get
got away from that, that's for sure.
Never going back on?
No.
Not even like a last match type deal?
No.
I'm kidding.
I don't have that in me.
I'm kidding. Well, let's jump into the next tag team, the Snake Pit. I mean, there's a bunch of different members for that. I don't know who was the original, like when you guys started it, but there's tons of names on here. We have yourself, we have Rich Maxwell, we have Seto Kabara, obviously tag team champs, Brandon Nitro, the African Prince Ali, and Blair Onyx.
Yeah, there was another one in there, Calf Zeal. It was when everything originally started there at Magnum. It was me with Rich, Nitro, and Cap Zeal. And it was, we were set to get everything really lit on fire. And Cap Zeal was, I don't know whatever happened to him. I think he ate some bad mushrooms and got lost in the woods.
We have a friend.
Yeah. he's somewhere. I'd ever heard from him maybe twice in the last 8 years. But we were all gung-ho to get this going, and then he just disappeared. I was like, well, shoot, we kind of built this around 4 guys, because the original inception with it is I wanted to have 3 newer faces associated with me. That way we could kind of hotshot some guys into some positions that I felt were ready. And Nitro was up in South Dakota, and he caught my attention with he was running around in Orange. He was like the convict at the time.
Yep.
And he's like, well, it's time to give you just kind of a little bit of a repackage, not necessarily a retread, but just kind of aim him in a different way.
Right.
And then Rich, a great pedigree with his training. He was a Lance Storm student. He didn't get to finish it out because he blew out his ACL, but
he hits hard, I heard.
Yeah, he's a little crowbar. But he's a really good guy. I mean, I was like, he just kind of needs an opportunity. And then there's Seto, where he kind of got floundered around in the Des Moines area, and I was like, he didn't really get much of a fair shake because he came in with so many other people, and he never really glad-handed or panhandled any of the politics stuff. He kind of just worked hard and paid his tuition and his dues, and then he just was kind of there, and it was like, but he's in great shape. He's very smart. Like I mean, he's got a master's in something. It's mortuary science.
Wow.
He's genius level. And I was like, why can't anybody just give this guy an opportunity? And so when Capzeel dipped out into wherever the hell he dipped off into, we got one opening. Why don't you just hop on in? And we just threw him in that night when everything was supposed to go down. And like, here we are. So there's that. African Prince Ali. So not every stable is perfect. We tried to give him a chance. Shortly after, he kind of disappeared. And Blair, we only ended up having for one show. And that was to help the boys win the tag titles. After that, she just kind of felt that it wasn't necessarily aligning with what she wanted to do. And we understood that. There was no pressure. So we just kind of let her go. And best wishes. Blair, I think you're great. And I'm glad to see you're still out and running around. You're no hard feelings at all. Not that I ever thought there was. But, just publicly clear that out. We're good. But yeah, that was the pit. Mostly it ended up being me and Seto tagging. Nitro really kind of found his own as a singles, and Rich as well. They both really kind of stood head and shoulders that way. And me have always been a tag guy, and Seto, I think I was his favorite wrestler for the last 5 years. So because every match we tagged all the time for years. Mm-hmm. I would do something, and then the next time that we would tag, he would do that move, and I went, I can't ever just do the same thing twice because he's just going to replicate the match after me. And, I mean, it was great. It was very flattering to her. It's like, this guy actually just used me as a teacher here. This is perfect. But then it also made me have to keep stepping my game up, too. Because I'm like, I can't just do the same old things because he's going to do them, too. I'm going to tag him in, and he's going to do the same damn hold. It's like, well, we can't do that. Right. So, I mean, it was a great learning experience for both of us. It kept me sharp, and it kept him just kind of evolving and picking my brain for new stuff.
That's super cool. I mean, most things, if you have somebody, like especially a peer that pushes you to be better, I mean, you both incrementally get better. So that's the coolest part about that. I want to jump into one more, obviously. The most recent one for us, Guns and Beer.
Yeah.
Original member?
Yep. So originally, with Beautiful Bodies, we had started going around a little bit, and we had impressed Merrick Brave over at Scott County. Mm-hmm. And he's, okay, so this is cool. This is great. I love this chemistry you guys have. I don't really want the frou-frou guys, though. Give me something different. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, okay. He's like, I want just because we're in southeastern Iowa, we just want two good old boys. Can you give us something that's just two good old boys and just something simple? And it was like, we couldn't come up with a simple name. We were like, 6-pack and 4 fists, blah, blah. And he's like, no, that sucks. How about Guns and Beer? Well, that's pretty simple. I don't think it's much more simple than Guns and Beer. Right. So there we were in camo shorts and, old kick pads, flannels. Yeah, it was just good old boys coming out. We even came out to the Dukes of Hazzard theme. Yeah. And then, so originally when I started working, because it goes great with a name looking like Curious George to be Derek, so you already look kind of douchey. So I was Derek, but then I switched it to Duke at that time. Well, that's a little bit tougher at least. And then Brian became Bo because we needed simpler names because we were simpler people. And so we started out with that, and then we coming out swinging around beers and whatnot, and slowly we had figured out you don't drink the beer and then wrestle because your belly gets hot, and then you get blown up and you might throw up. But then we started smartening ourselves up to go, what if we have matches where we can get the other guys to drink the beers, and then they start moving, and then they want to quit because their bellies are getting hot and they want to throw up. So it started out with Brian and I, and then eventually we got Joey, and after that is when we got Sean, Cousin Gator. And so we slowly expanded from there, but it was Bo and I from the ground floor. And there's one really fun tag match that Joey and I had. It was against Viking War Party. That one was really good. There's Frank Wyatt. I love Frank. Frank, I hope you're watching. I know you're out painting figurines and mowing the lawn. Like, that's all I've ever seen on your socials, so that's got to be what you're doing right now. We were wrestling them, and somehow Frank got our beer and he's drinking and he's drinking and he's drinking, and then he gets the tag, and he comes in, ball of fire, and he's hitting us, bam, bam. Halfway through this, you can see it outside of him that the beer was starting to come up because his belly was hot, and he starts breathing harder, and his head's starting to turn red, and he's whoo, 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 and he comes back at us, one more. I'm looking at Joe, I'm like, he's gonna throw up if we get up again, and Joey's like, all right, one more, and Frank is just losing steam, and he's just like pushing us at this point, just like, go away, ooh. So all that steam was gone, and it was, oh man, I got a lot of stories and stuff like that. But yeah, it all started with Bo and I, and just as whenever someone got injured, they just kind of rotated in with me, so because I kind of kept on going.
Right. So I have 2 other members on there too. Who's Crotch?
Crotch. God, when was he part of Guns and Beer? So,
again, cage match is not always correct.
All right. Well, Crotch is out of the Quad City area over there with Scott County. I've known him. I mean, he was wrestling before I even started wrestling. Yeah, he's. I don't know how to really describe Crotch other than he's just kind of he's a scrawny guy that shakes his dick a lot.
Oh.
Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, it fits the name.
Yeah, I think he's wore the same purple shorts for about 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. No, he's great though. I love Matt. He's awesome, but that you could always count on just Avril Lavigne being the music, and then he comes out and just shakes his junk. I remember one of the first indie shows that I went to. It was him and Steven Richards were a tag team.
Wow.
And he got Steven Richards to do the dick shake too. And I was like, all right, this is where we're at. And then I finally got in the locker room with him. I was like, this is the whole thing for the next 15 years. And it's great. I've always loved him. I've always love running into him. He's awesome.
That's super cool. Jumping into it, I have one more thing for the favorite events or promotions or just places that you've been. I have a couple listed out. I saw that there was a bunch of TNA like seminars or something early on in your career. Do you remember those at all?
Yeah, so I had a lot of seminars when I was starting to come in. I did one with Rosie. That was probably my first one. It was shortly after he got released, so there was a lot of TV stuff that we learned on that. The Trevor Murdoch was one.
Wow.
Al Snow. I did an Al Snow seminar. Which
That's cool.
We didn't. I don't know if we like each other.
Fair.
I don't know if we like each other. If you do this long enough and you get to talk to enough people that have traveled as much as I have, someone's going to have an Al Snow story and someone's going to not like him. I don't know if it was a running joke for the last 16 years, but it's definitely not my favorite. This guy, all right, behind the scenes exclusive here on things. So we're on a show in just outside of Iowa City, Iowa, for a Great Lakes Championship. I'm wrestling Matty Star, whatever. We're having a match, bang, bang, bang. Come to the back. Al Snow pulls Matty aside, and he wants to know why he's letting me punch him in the face that damn hard. And I was like, well, I don't understand what's going on. And Al is adamant that I was beating the hell out of this guy. There's not a red mark on his face because I can work. So I'm not beating him up, but Al is convinced that I've just been whooping this guy's ass. And he's like, you should fight him. You should fight him right now. I was like, well, this doesn't make any sense.
Feels like a rib.
Yeah. And so we fast forward a few years, and now he's at a PWP show, wrestling Joey Daniels, whatever, bang, bang, bang. Come in the back. Al pulls him aside. I says, why are you letting this guy just beat the hell out of you? Like, he's really hurting you, isn't he? No. Joey's the first, or like the second one to know that he's getting hurt, because he's like, I don't think I am getting hurt. And I'm sitting here, I'm watching Al do this again. I'm like, is this for real? Like, does this guy just think I don't know how to throw a punch? And I'm really just sputting. But no teeth are missing. There's no blood, no black eye, nothing red. He's fine. He's fine. I go and work for Al at OVW in Louisville, Kentucky, a few years ago. I'm in his tag team gauntlet. I already have this bad taste in my mouth from him sitting here telling me I don't know how to work, I don't know how to throw punches, and that I need to go back to training because I'm going to hurt somebody. And then he puts me in his ring. I go and have this tag team gauntlet, which, if you look back at the footage, we won the belts. That guy did not kick out, should be an OVW tag team champion. Come to the back, Al stands up out of his chair and goes, "Hell of a punch, kid." Pats me on the back and sends me on my way. I was like, "I've hated you for the last 12 years. I've hated you." And the punch hasn't changed. I mean, it's cleaner, but like, same damn thing.
Right.
Same damn thing. And it was just a joke that was going on for a decade. I hope it was a joke. Al, I really hope it was a joke. Because you were pretty mean a couple of those times. But yeah, that was an interesting seminar. Everyone's got an Al Snow story. Yeah, I did a lot of different seminars. One with Zack Sabre Jr. That was kind of interesting to learn a little bit more about the British style.
Is that where you developed a lot of your holds? Because I feel like you're super methodical with the way that you like break down your opponent.
I didn't learn too much as far as holds on that as much as it was more about when you get into the British camps and how to make sure that you can stretch everything out. Because usually you have 3 or 4 shows at a time. And so when you're out of the camps and you have 3 or 4 shows over the day, you can't be doing superplexes all the time. Right. But you got to find something that makes it work and how to take care of your body for it. So that's what I learned a little bit more about with rolls and being able to jump into new holds when someone tries to get out and how to actually keep things interesting and moving at the same time. So I did on that one. Gosh, can I say? I
don't see why not.
Okay, well, I wrestled, but there was a Joey Ryan camp. I think Joey Anderson got the most use out of that camp, though. When they got done and they started or after they got done working around, and it was, does anybody have any questions? Joey asked Mr. Ryan if he knew where the female clitoris was.
Oh, jeez.
And
No way.
And he didn't have an answer for it, but I tell you what, he won the seminar that day. I was like, okay.
Beautiful.
But let's see. Yeah, gosh. I had a lot of seminars. Les Thatcher, I did one with him not too long ago, and QT Marshall. I was down at right before it became the Nightmare Factory. It was when it was just QT's place. So there was Thatcher and Dr. Tom were there. Ernest the Cat Miller popped in on that one too. That was kind of cool. Glacier was at it.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had just kind of a lot of random run-ins.
That's super cool. I also saw that you wrestled at JCW early on.
Yes, I did. So this was in Council Bluffs, and they were on the Summer Days tour, and they got a hold of. I was one of the Tomasellis. I want to say it was Sal was the one in charge of getting talent, and him and Strife were always close. So he hit up Strife and said, "Hey, we're in the area. I need like 4 or 5 guys." So I said, okay. So he calls me. He calls Bo, Pepper Cricket. Zach James was on that one, and then Fowler as well. And I think it was Fowler and Yellow Dog and the Weed Man were a triple threat. And then it was Bo and I as the Beautiful Bodies, so we were already against the 8-ball here, against the Haters, which was Brandon and Paul Tomaselli. Now, they're great guys. I love all their work. They're awesome to talk to. I've met with Paulie after that, and he's awesome. But they were in a place where if you existed, you were a problem, and we got the shit beat out of us.
Oh, man.
For about 4 minutes. At one point, I just put my hands down and just said, "Just hit me. I can't defend myself anymore." And then I got thrown to the outside, and there's a guy in clown makeup at the guardrail asking me where I keep my knife on my trunks. And I was like, I was unaware I needed to bring a knife to this wrestling match.
Yeah, well,
and now I'm sitting here going, how many of these people running around in clown makeup have a knife on them right now when I'm running around in underwear outside? Okay, let's go back inside. At least no one's got anything in there. And then they beat us and pinned us and we ran away. But yeah, that was one encounter. And then there was Strife was wrestling at Gathering of the Juggalos. And that was an experience. Because I don't know if you guys are familiar with the proceedings over there, but when it was over in Cave Rock, Illinois, they basically buy out the town and they tell the cops to look the other way for a week.
Yep.
And there's a location on the map. It's called the Drug Bridge, and this is where everybody that's selling posts, so everyone that's buying knows where to go.
Right.
And there's a guy sitting at the end of the bridge with a sign that says, "Break my arm for $300. I spent all my money on drugs." And I'm sitting there with Donnie, and Donnie goes up to him, and he goes, "Well, can I break your arm for $300? He goes, "Oh, no, I have to break it, because, I mean, then it's, you know." I said, "No, I'm not falling for some double-jointed bullshit. Let me break your arm, and I will give you $300. Please, man, I just want to go home because I spent all my money on drugs." He's like, "You can if I can break your arm." So that was an interesting one. That night, just to show you how old I am and how far back this goes, this is when Tila Tequila was making music.
Oh,
I know the story.
yes.
Oh, we
Donnie
do know
told
this
us
story.
about this story.
So I was sitting there. I'll pick up all these names after I drop them. But I'm standing there with Colt Cabana, Chris Hero, and Aria Davari. And Donnie's with us.
Yo.
We're standing there. We're watching this music happen. Not being played. It's happening. Whatever she's doing, she's calling it music. It's 3 a.m. People are already tired. The drugs are starting to wear off, and they're realizing she's fucking terrible. So they start booing her, and she's like, "Oh gosh, what do I do?" So she starts removing clothes to try and keep people's attention. All right, well, this is interesting now because, you know, she wasn't a bad-looking girl, so let's take a look. And then it's like, all right, guys, it's like 3:30 in the morning. I gotta turn in, and so people are starting to turn away. And then she gets on the microphone and starts screaming, "Fuck the clowns, fuck juggalos, fuck this, that, and the other." Then incites the riot. So now they're picking up trash to throw it at the stage, but then they run out of trash, but they still have empty beer cups. So now they're going to the porta potties and they're scooping shit out of the porta potties to throw it at her. But it's just not making it, and there's just this fog of just crap that's soaring through the air while she's sitting there still talking shit. And one guy goes, "Well, the lines to the bathroom are too long. I found a brick," and hucks a brick upstage at her. And then it whizzes by, and she goes, "Nope, I'm out." And that's when she gets security escorted out. And that's when we ran, because we didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
Now that we were participating, that's not even a statute of limitations thing. We just weren't going to stick our hands in poop to throw it at her. We weren't that mad. And so we run away. And then the next morning, there's a family meeting where everybody has to get together under this tent to discuss why we don't throw shit.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it was Donnie, Strife, and I. We woke up in Donnie's car with like 2, I won't say crackheads, but crackheads, were staring in through the window at us to see if we had left any change around or if they could get in and start taking shit out of the car while we were asleep. I'm like, what is even, whoa, Strife, wake up. And he's, oh, jeez. And so we finally just flee out of the car, and that's where we find like Tommy Rich randomly and Jamie Dundee, because they had the whole Legends night before. And Jamie Dundee is running around. He's telling all his crazy stories and probably hiding from cops. And it was an experience.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Wow.
Yeah, and Donnie got the hell beat out of him that day too, over with I don't know if it was called Juggalo Mania or whatever the name of that show was, but he was in there with Ian Rodden getting bludgeoned. I remember that.
Wow. I mean, there's no all those promote, or at least all those shows, the events that they held, they always seemed like they were just going to go off the rails at all times. So
all of them were doomed. All of them were doomed for chaos, and it was always something to see though, because I mean they did the Flashlight Mania at 2 a.m, where it was Bullet Bob Armstrong and Bob Orton at 2 a.m. Cowboy Bob Orton.
Oh no.
Fighting at 2 a.m. with no lights except people running around with flashlights and on drugs, just doing this the whole time, not shining it on the match at all. They're trying to flag down something.
right.
And I was like, these poor guys, one of them main evented WrestleMania. This is embarrassing.
Right.
This is tough.
I mean, where did wrestling go wrong? That sounds kind of fun.
It was definitely an experience. I'm not mad that I saw it. I'm not mad that I lived through it. I would have been pissed if I had to do it though.
Right.
2 a.m, I'm tired, and I got drug addicts throwing around flashlights in the middle of the night. There's no way.
I totally get that. I mean, they're intense.
Yeah,
They're intense.
Oh yeah, it's an intense breed. They're interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. Let's go to another topic here. What are your favorite opponents that you've gone against? I mean, we have all the local guys, obviously your friends and all the people that you grew up with, but anybody that stands out? I have one that I see here immediately, but you'll probably touch base on it.
So with all of my locals, obviously, I love anytime that I get my hands on Brian or Joey. Sean and I had some really good ones too. He's kind of a big stiff tree, so sometimes it didn't feel all that great. But it was great tagging with him. We were always on the same page with that. Strife, whenever I could get in there with him, was always a treat. Red Wing is probably going to be my favorite ever feud in this area. You guys didn't get to catch it, but I was throwing everybody at him that I could. All my pit guys, I was doing everything we could. We were tearing it down over in the side room for 7-8 months. And we learned a lot, just beating the hell out of each other. But on a different scale, I would say, just outreaching from here, because I've traveled so far and so long.
Have you done all states?
Not all of them.
Not yet.
I won't get all of them, but gosh, I took a count. I think it was at 16, so that's not too bad.
That's great. Yeah. Most people don't make it out of the state that they live in. So
yeah. A lot of people just kind of get afraid to jump in a car and give it a chance.
Right.
Sometimes that was when we came up in my era, and I'm not trying to sound like too much of an old head, but when I started getting bookings, I was trying it through MySpace. Okay, that's how long I've been at this.
Shout out to Tom.
Yeah, Tom, remember me. So, but as far as like favorites outside of the area, Silas Young was a guy that I was chasing forever.
He's awesome.
Silas is great. He was supposed to come in through Magnum a few times, and I was supposed to get into Chicago, and there was all these supposed to, what if, could have, maybes, and it was about 10 years where we just kind of kept passing by each other until finally I got to wrestle him in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it was 6 hours away from me, and it was, 2-hour flight for him. And we lived hours away from each other, but we just never touched. And it was crazy to think that we had to do this down in the South. And it's like, hey, you know what? Let's make the best of it. And now I got his phone number. We text. He's awesome. Sinbo D, when I got to wrestle him in Minnesota, I learned so much in 12 minutes with him. Sinner is awesome. I would recommend anybody wrestles him because he is so smart. He is so smart.
That's cool.
Luke Langley is another favorite opponent of mine. Luke has always brought out the best in me.
He's awesome.
The first time that we wrestled was in a tag match, and I had Joey as a partner, and he had Graham Bell, Merc. And yeah, it was, that one, it could have gone better. I think we both can agree with that one, but Luke is phenomenal these days. He's head and shoulders above wherever he was. And anytime that him and I get in there, it's great. We have a good time. No regrets with those. Other than that, I would say probably Madman Fulton. I love me some Madman. Him and I, the match that we had, we probably shouldn't have had because we had such a bizarre path to get to it. But gosh, once we finally got to have it, I really, as much as I was a staple in the Omaha area, I really hear a lot of feedback about that match still. And that's a whole COVID away,
Right.
Like that was in February before we were all told to go stay inside. And so for that to have withstood a pandemic and then people still remember it, something special happened there. And, we talked about it was going to happen again at some point, but it never came to. But yeah,
Damn it, Magnum.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yep. I have one that I saw on your Facebook. I don't know if it ever happened though, but with Scotty Too Hottie.
Yes, I got to wrestle Scotty in Oklahoma as well. So there for a while, I ended up just kind of dipping into the South, and I was really just kind of tearing it up and having a lot of fun with that. I got to wrestle Scotty. Um, Crazy story about Scotty. And if you're seeing this, one, let's be surprised. But two, this is a real big throwback here. So back when I started training, this was back, the show was in Oskaloosa, Iowa. There was an awful, awful blizzard. And tear down the ring. I'm on my way. And my car fell off in the ditch, and I was getting snowed in. I tried to get myself out. Snow had already packed in my car, so I couldn't even get out. And I'm sitting there, I'm opening all of my merch to try and make a makeshift blanket so I can stay warm, because I know I'm in trouble. And I call Sean, and I was like, hey man, I know you got a car that can kind of get through this. Any way you can kind of bail me out here? I am so screwed. And he was busting Scotty around. And Scotty said, oh, man, no, man, we're not making any side trips. We got to get me to the hotel. So I remembered that for years.
Yeah.
It was like, I about died in a ditch because Scotty Too Hotty wanted to be warm. I was like, man, I wanted to be not cold. And then I finally got the opportunity to wrestle him, and I was talking to the promoter about this crazy story. And I was like, do I cut a promo on that? And he goes, listen, I don't need you getting in a fist fight with Scotty Too Hotty. It's like, no, I'm over it now, but I kind of remember it. And then I met with Scotty, and he's great. There was nothing to even be mad at him about. Like, I understood where he was coming from, and he didn't want to get stuck out in the snow either. Obviously, I made it out because I'm here. I may act like I'm dead sometimes, but I actually did pull through. And it was that was just kind of a crazy full circle thing from how everything started to now. Him and I are in a building of 600, 700 people,
Wow.
and our match was mostly us having our coats fight each other. Because he had his nice little jean vest, and he's doing his little wiggle, and he's getting people behind him, and then I go shove him to the side, and I'm trying to take my coat off, and people would boo until eventually it was just our coats were what people wanted to see get hurt. And so then it was a great experience. He's great. I don't have a bad word to say about him. That was just it was kind of surreal because been very fortunate with wrestling to wrestle some really good names. And to have him be one where I was coming up and growing up and watching wrestling, for him to be that guy that I got to wrestle, I was like, this is so easy. This is so fun.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Any other big names like that? Maybe ones that I missed?
So let's see. For up in Minnesota, I wrestled Macho Man's brother, Lanny Poffo. And then I had Tito Santana the next year.
Wow.
I was going to wrestle Tommy Dreamer, but that's another one of those almost shoulda, coulda, woulda been things.
That would have banged.
Yeah, that would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I just got done wrestling Hornswoggle.
Sure, that was interesting.
Yeah, it was different. He is a jerk. He is a little bully. So every time that someone goes, he's a little bully, they're right. They're right. He is a little bully. Gosh, I'm sure there's some more I'm thinking in there. I got to wrestle Harley Race's son. That was a really big deal.
Wow.
Yeah, I know there's more that I've been in there with.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's 16 years of getting hit in the head.
Right. Any, obviously with Scotty Too Hotty, but any other people that you maybe have saw on TV, like growing up, and then next thing you know, you're maybe on the same card or actually facing anybody memorable that sticks out to you?
God, I'm sure there is.
Don't worry, it's okay.
So in Oklahoma, they have there's this Wrestling for a Cause. They do a lot of charity shows for childhood cancer, and Tim's great. Shout out Tim Rockwell. I always find myself in locker rooms to where it's like, there's just no way. And back in, gosh, it's been 7-8 years now, but when I was wrestling for Heavy On up in Minnesota, they did Fortune Mania, and they always had some big name regularly, but then you had Fortune Mania, and that was basically, you get to just trollop through your childhood. Wow. The first one I did, it was Nash, Hall, and X-Pac on it. Ooh. And then that was where I wrestled Lanny Poffo. And then there was someone else there. And then the second one, there was Sting, which he's one of my favorite memories. I'll get to that here. but there was Sting was on that show. Super Crazy was on that one with Ultimo Dragon.
Oh man, what a card.
Yeah, it was bonkers. Tito Santana was on that one, and then Booker T. So I gotta just kind of watch my whole childhood just come into a locker room, and I was like, "This is I don't know what I did to get here, but thank you." And,
Right.
and it was, and I remember after that second Fortune Mania, and I got a whole bunch of names I'll be picking up here because I'm gonna drop a lot. I went to the bar after the show, and it was all in a casino. And so off to the bar, I'm having a beer with Earl Hebner while Pat Patterson is singing My Way on karaoke, and Stan Hansen's just floating around in the room. And I was just like, what even is my life right now?
Am I dreaming?
And Hebner and I are sitting there having a beer, and he's sitting there telling me about what it's like to be a ref for Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I didn't ask. Not that I didn't want to hear it. He just kind of dumped all of this knowledge on me as we're sitting here, and he's like, Pat, someone get Pat off the stage. This is the second time he's singing it. Tell him to get off that stage. And they're trying to get him. I was like, no, my way. And just going and just having the time of his life. It was crazy. But yeah, there's just these big shows like that. You never know who you're going to run into. And it's
Right.
awesome.
That's so cool. I don't know if you want to touch on Sting before we move to another topic, but
So I've been in wrestling 16 going on 17 years in December. My favorite memory, I'm standing at the tunnel. I'm talking to Colt Cabana, and David Arquette's at this one too. So it's already a pretty big deal. It's with Heavy on. And then Sting is there, and he's got his jacket. His face is painted. His hair is just blowing in the wind ever so delicately. And then right next to him walks up my son, Jameson. And he's standing right beside Sting. And he looks at me and goes, Dad, look at this hamburger. I got it for $5. And he's maybe 4. And it's, to me, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at my two worlds touch, where I'm a very proud father and a very proud wrestler. And Sting was one of my guys. And here's my son standing next to each other. Neither of them give a shit about the other, and no one figures they should. Because Sting just kind of glances over at him and he goes, oh, it's someone's kid. And then Jameson kind of looks up at him and goes, oh, some clown with a bat. Dad, it's as big as my head. And I'm just like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to experience something like this ever again. It was really just the two seams of my worlds just right here, and neither of them knew how important the other one was.
right.
So, I mean, it's surreal on that one. I watched Jimmy Hart basically chase my son around and try and be his grandpa all day, because it was just him and Jimmy and Demolition were just like, they're grandpas. That's where they are in life, and they're like, oh, little kid, let's spoil him. And so, like, they're running around in their face paint trying to impress him, and he's like, I have a dad. Like, we don't. And then he's sitting there with Sting, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. There's never another moment like that. No matter how many cool things I do, that won't be, I mean, there's nothing that's going to come close to that.
That's cool. That's so cool. So, pivoting here onto another topic, I like to involve, I guess, your history with fans, right? You either have really great fans or you have really bad ones. What are some of the moments that stick out to you for good and bad for fan interactions?
So, up in North Dakota, when I started wrestling there, I'm not going to say I'm like one of the forefathers that built for any kind of.
Talk your shit,
wrestling
Duke.
there.
It's okay.
I'm not one of the cornerstones, but I'm why there's at least a foundation. There's
He's a
lot of
pillar.
guys.
He's a pillar. It's okay.
So when we started going up there, that's when I started noticing just how close I was getting to fans, and how like it was really affecting them, because there's not much up there. And so as I'm going up there more and more and more, there was one family that brought their kids, 2 twin girls, and I watched them basically grow up to get through high school. And one of the girls made her boyfriend at the time wear one of my necklaces to the homecoming deal, because they were both going to have matching necklaces. And she says, this is the only thing that we're going to match with, because we have a wrestling show we have to go to before we go to homecoming. And I was like, I'm the pre-homecoming? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So there was that, and now this little girl, and she's always going to be 10, 12 in my mind, she just had her kid. And now her kid has the same necklace.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, this is 3 generations of fans. And then when I wrestled in Montana, there was fans that came over from North Dakota, and there was a mom that was a fan of mine that took photos with me a long time ago. And then her daughter went to the show and goes, my mom actually passed away 3 years ago, so can we recreate this photo with me? And I was like, this is... If you ever want to feel old, understand that there's 3 generations of fans that you can have. And you go, Jesus, 16 years and you have all this? This is crazy.
Right.
So, like, there's those experiences. You know, some fan interactions weren't always awesome, especially when we were starting over the Eagles Club. Some people would always come running up and asking if they can hold my kids. And I was like, we don't know you. No, we're Facebook friends. Yeah, you still can't touch my kid. The state doesn't want you to touch your kid. You can't hold my kid either. Thanks.
Right.
I did have a fan become a ref once, though. That was a very... Okay, story time. Mm-hmm. So I'm wrestling Donnie Pepper Cricket. We're out there. There's a referee, and the fans had been dogging him for not doing a good job the whole time. So right before Donnie and I are about to go lock up, the ref grabs the microphone. I went, oh, this is a new experience. What does the ref have to say?
Yeah, Stripes grabbed the mic. That's crazy.
And he grabs it and he goes, you think you could do a better job? And he looks at some guy who has a replica belt on his shoulder, and he's just sitting there going, yeah, I think I could. And fine. And so he takes his shirt off and throws it at this guy in the crowd and says, you can ref it. And he heads to the back.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, Donald, what are we doing now? And so this guy puts the ref jersey. I don't think he took the belt off of his shoulder, which makes it more impressive because he's still got his arm through the sleeve. And he puts it on, and he comes in, and he refs this match with the belt over his shoulder. And he's coming patting us down, and he's like, all right, ring the bell. And he's just walking around, following us through this match with the belt over his shoulder. And you know what? He actually didn't do a bad job. He even got down with the count and was holding the belt.
Yeah.
And he was right down the middle. He did a great job. I think they should have kept him. But that one was a different fan interaction. That one was kind of bonkers. I had a fan dive over a guardrail at me in Oklahoma. That was cool.
What? Did he connect?
No. It was Mom. Mom was mad at me. So this is my very first show in Oklahoma. I just got my license and I'm ready to ride. I come out. There's some kid in the front row. He's dicking around on his mom's phone, just not paying attention. And this is when I had my dreadlocks, my big heavy coat, eye patch, looking scary. I just creep down by this kid. And I look over the edge of his phone. And I didn't say anything mean. I just went, boo. He throws this phone about 3 rows back. Mom sees that I scared her kid. She's coming over the rail at me now. And 2 security guards have to catch her mid-jump and wrestle her back to her chair. And I was like, man, this is pretty easy to get heat in the South, huh? Especially when you run around with a giant Reaper on your back. All right,
Wow.
Have this match. I go to the back. The commentator comes up and follows me. It was his kid that I had scared. And that was his wife that was coming to fight me. And he goes, you think it's cool to scare little kids? You think? I'm like, I wasn't trying to scare your kid. If your kid's scared, that's his fault. And he's trying to tell me about how pissed off he is. I was like, well, tell you what. Let me put all my stuff down. You can tell me how mad you are if we got to go outside, or if you can go back to that table. And he's staring at me. And he walks backwards. I'm like, we're not that damn mad then, are we? And that was my first night in Oklahoma. I'm about ready to fight a commentator, and a woman's coming over the guardrail at me. It was talked about for a while. They're like, we got to get him on all these shows. He's out here just pissing people off, and they're diving the rails after him. That's cool. I like to work.
Yeah, awesome, man. For one word, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, let me touch base on another fan interaction, or so what we think is a fan. To explain the Carl saga to us. We all love Carl. We all love Carl, right?
We all love Carl. We all love Carl. So, there was one day, I was just going through old messages and just checking through the filters. And I was like, okay, I'm sure there's something I've missed. Because you get looped into all these things to where it's like the love room. And it's like, well, I definitely want to get rid of this stuff. Before
Right.
It's like, my girlfriend at the time goes and looks and sees that there's all of these love live chats or like whatever graphic title is on it. And it's like, I didn't sign up for any of this. Oh, that's funny because you're in there with 260 other people. Like, do you see me make a comment anywhere? It's like, no, but someone thinks you need to be in there. It's like, well, okay. So let's just clear all this stuff out. And I'm clearing it, and I'm clearing it, and I'm clearing it. And finally, I come across this one from Carl. And I have no goddamn clue what he's saying to me. It's like, I can't even quote it because I still read it and it doesn't read the same twice.
Yeah.
It's like it called me a seaside scrubby buddy or something, or like, I don't even remember. But none of it made sense. And I discovered this a year after he sent it. And I was like, oh man, I could have got so much clarity if I would have just saw this earlier. So then the hunt just continued to where I got to message him. I got to get the updates. And then every 6 weeks, I'm like, update, nothing new from Carl. Don't know what a seaside bum bum is. I don't know. I don't know what any of this stuff is. Until finally, I got a message back from him that made even less sense. And it sounded like he was drunk and he just found me on Facebook and decided to just type shit at me.
Tell you how bad of a wrestler you are.
Yeah. And he's not even a wrestling fan, which is the craziest part, is he's a DJ from Liverpool, and he just decided, oh, Duke, that's a title. Screw this, scrummy bummy, or whatever the hell he said to me. I'd have to go back and look at it again, but man. And so now every time that there's something just a little bit controversial, I want to tag Carl in it and get him his take, because it's like, you know what? If there's ever been a harsher fan of me that isn't me, it's Carl. And so I need to get his stance on a lot of this kind of stuff. So whenever something important comes, I haven't asked him about me finishing up this year. I should probably tag him and see if he can get his take on it.
I'd be curious.
Yeah, I don't know how he's going to handle it.
He's like, well, Carl, you finally won. I'm done this year.
Well, Carl, you're a DJ longer than I am a wrestler. I think you won this one. You seaside mob stop. Whatever, I don't know. I'll have to get a stance on it. Now the world's burning to know what Carl has to say.
I thought it was hilarious. It's one of those things that's like, it's always stuck with me too. Funny enough, when I put together the interview, he messaged me. He goes, Carl Saga. He's like, what is that? I was like, just wait.
Yeah. Oh, man.
It was, it's so funny. I remember seeing the updates when they would come through, and I'm just like, this is so funny, man. Like, who is this guy, for one? And then for two, it's like, where's the connection? Like, how do you even know Duke?
Yeah, he doesn't know me. He doesn't like wrestling. He's very avid to be like, oh, it's that wrestling, mate, bop, bop. And it's like, I don't, okay, yeah, but what is any of that? What did you say? It's like, it's Christmas sawed off. I wished you a Merry Christmas. I said a truce for today. Nothing. Won't have it. He's a very bitter DJ. Carl, I hope we can figure this out. I want to figure this out before I get out, okay? Because I don't need you sending me physical letters to just harass me in my life, okay? Let's figure this out. Let's hash this out. We can get him on the show, right?
I think so. I think we can.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
It's in the budget, I'm sure.
All right. Well, let's pivot here. I wanted to touch base on a couple of match. I guess what's your favorite match stipulation? Like, what do you gravitate to? I know you have tons of matches under your belt.
As far as any kind of special stipulations,
Yes.
I would say I really, when the chance gets to come up for the snake pit match.
I'm super curious if you could help explain that too.
Yeah, so basically it's what NXT Underground is now. Where it was drop the ropes, finish it by either submission or by knockout. We relaxed the rules a little bit, so now it's you get weapons and whatnot. But yeah, that's what the snake pit was. It was built around. So the first one was with JC Slater, and he wanted a piece of me, and I said, okay, then we're gonna do it the way I want to do it. And I wasn't gonna do any of these ropes. I wasn't gonna do any of that crazy kind of stuff. So let's drop it. And then if you want to have things that we can hit each other with, let's do that. So got rid of the ropes, took away the pinfalls, and then that was where the snake pit started. And then Red Wing and I had one, and that one didn't end out so well for either of us. He speared me right off the edge of the ring through two tables, and neither of us got up. So, yeah, and then, God, the last one was with Preston Maxwell. And that was, that one was pretty nasty when a pile drove him off the apron through a table and then rolled him back in, and that was it. Yeah, that was, because it was, again, ropes just kind of got in the way. We wanted to keep the fight in the middle, and then whatever happened, and that's where we were.
Cool. So like an early iteration of like Bloodsport, let's say, right?
Yeah. So I had actually came up with this concept right before the Bloodsports show started. Because I was like, let's just drop the ropes and have some fun with it. And I know TJ had toyed around with it too, because he has that MMA background. And I was like, I don't know how I'd make it different than TJ's, but I guess we can just hit each other with other stuff too. But yeah, that was very much when that stuff started to come around. That was when we were all just like, let's just drop the ropes and let's just see what happens, you know. And for sometimes with the Magnum rings, the Strife I Love You, they fell apart. So it was just easier to take the ropes down anyway. And that's how he trained a lot of the guys too, is without ropes. And he's like, just imagine you're hitting them. Sometimes I think it's because he didn't want to dick with putting them up, but it also forced you to keep things in the middle, and you didn't have to rely on it so much. And when I was thinking of stipulations on stuff, you can always add things, right? Like you add a cage, there's a steel cage. You throw on barbed wire, there's barbed wire. You throw in. Make it a street fight, you add in weapons. Well, once you start taking away some of the elements that you're used to, you're forced to adapt.
Right.
And so now you don't have ropes to hit, you don't have anything to jump off of, you have to keep it in the middle. But then you also start exposing the sharp hooks where everything hooks onto. You have the corners that you're exposed to now.
Yep.
You can fall out of the ring now. And it adds a whole different element to everything. And it just, to build it and to be smart to it, it's a bigger challenge than to where it's just, okay, here's a cage, this hurts.
Right. No, I was looking through your history too, and I saw that you had a dog collar match with Red Wing at one point.
Yes.
Insane for one to be chained to that man. I just don't understand who would accept that in their right mind.
Yeah, that was my idea. That's why you didn't have to accept it, because it was my bright idea. Yeah, Red Wing and I have been going around for years. Early on, there was that. Gosh. I think we had a street fight in there somewhere. I think I needed something to try and slow him down.
Beer technique, huh?
Yes. We did that. And then there was the dog collar where guy broke out of the chain. He was hitting all three of the buckles. I was trying to stop him, and he's just a monster. And of all the people that have picked me up in my life as far as wrestling goes, and I mean just in life, because I don't run around getting picked up by dudes, but like, there's three guys that have hoisted me up, and I realized I don't have much of a say in it. Mm-hmm. It's Keith Lee, Madman Fulton, and Red Wing. And the first time he picked me up, I realized if Red Wing doesn't think I need to live anymore, I don't have much of a say in it.
Yeah.
So
animal.
Yeah. So this horse of a man just broke through the chain, and he got the fourth buckle, and that was it. Because we did it very traditional style. And then we had quite a few more tag run-ins, and then another one-on-one, and then we had the snake pit match, and that didn't go out for either of us. And then we had one last one, and it was Crom's Reckoning. So that was his match. And that was basically take the pit and then line it with lumberjacks, and they have weapons.
Whoa.
So there was no leaving until everybody decided it was time to hit somebody, and then the game changed, and then I got put through a table, and that was it on that one. But yeah, it was him and I. I signed up for some violence with that man. I don't know. Well, I learned a lot. I learned that I could slow down that big mass of a human, but there's no stopping him.
Right.
If he doesn't want to stop, he's not gonna.
100%. So I guess with the topic of violence, let's go into death matches. When did that start for you? Was that something that like was brought to you, or were you like adamant on trying it? Or because I mean that's a whole different ball game for a lot of people. I mean, some people never do it.
So you are actually fortunate enough to speak to the only undefeated no-ring deathmatch legend in Nebraska, Iowa, and North Dakota. And Minnesota. Undefeated no-ring deathmatch man.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was never my idea.
Okay.
I watched a lot of this kind of stuff happen, and it kind of seemed a lot like just guys that didn't know what they were doing were taking a shortcut, right? And then I got invited into it. And I was like, well, it's catching a lot of buzz, and I know a lot of good dudes that do death matches. It's like they're some of the greatest people on. They're absolute teddy bears.
I mean, it's an art. It's an art for sure.
Yeah, and these guys are absolute teddy bears. They just have one eye and sharp teeth. You know, like you just don't want to hold the teddy bear too close because it might bite you. But they're teddy bears.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? Let's just give it a shot. They seemed to like it, and I gave one a go. I was like, you know what? It's a way different environment. Because now you don't have people spaced out here. You have them close. And now you have to introduce them into this violence to where it's, it hurts. And now they can actually reach out and touch these things that hurt you. So like when I was doing one, it was over in Iowa. It was the one with Jeff. Jeff O'Shea.
He's an animal too, to be honest with you.
Yes. So we're doing that, and it's like, everyone got to hear that giant ass sink that I threw for no reason. There was
I own that sink.
He has that sink.
They were like, "Oh, you want to?" I was like, "Why the fuck do I want this sink?"
Why wouldn't you want the sink?
Right.
Cotton came to us and he said, "Hey, if I can get this signature, if I get everybody in the back to sign it, do you guys want the sink?" Bonda immediately, yeah, I'll take the sink.
And then brought it to my house. I'm like, why? I still have it though. It's signed by everybody. I have that sink.
But that was what people were getting hit with. And there was a barbed wire trampoline, and there there was light tubes and all this other stuff. And like people could walk out and touch it, and now like they're feeding off of this live violence. Not that once you're in a ring and you're elevated, it's more of a presentation. Now when you come down into this, you live in the mayhem. It's like watching the mosh pit, and it's an entirely different feeling to it. There's a whole other level of adrenaline that comes with it. But I used to make fun of it. I used to not really like deathmatch wrestling, and then I got to know a lot of deathmatch guys. I used to make fun of Bo all the time for him wanting to be a deathmatch guy.
Deathmatch daddy.
Yeah, he is. Bo, you are subpar at best.
Oh.
That's a long-running joke, and that makes him mad. It's true. Subpar at best.
Knocking on Magnum's door.
Yeah, there's only one way to find out.
But I gave it a shot, and I was like, you know what? This is actually pretty cool. And it really brings a whole new feeling to it. And then for as much as I've done where it's, I've had, WWE tryouts. I did extra stuff for AEW. I've been to the penthouse, and I've been to the shit house. And, to go into something that isn't something that I'm ever really used to feel that new environment, you know what? I say give it a shot. It's been great. I've met a lot of great people with it. I was just speaking with someone about these, and I got a buddy of mine, Dmitry Alexandrov. He's a big deathmatch guy now in Texas. Deathmatch Jesus.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
those go hand in hand, huh?
Yes. So he made the comment towards it actually hurts a lot less than wrestling. Because it's an entirely different structure. And he's like, yeah, no, I bleed, and there's some T-shirts that I can't wear ever again, and that sucks. But I don't hurt like I do when I throw my body at the ground.
Yeah.
Because it's all structured differently, and it's a different animal. And he's like, yeah, sometimes the showers sting, but I'm not 3 days going, oh Jesus, what did I throw myself on that for?
Right, like my bones don't hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Now, is there a special preparation that you get? Like, is there a mindset that you have to develop? Is it like listening to Creed all morning and then you get into it? Or I'm curious, I mean, that's a whole different headspace.
Well, now it's Sleep Token. You got to listen to Sleep Token again.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, get a little sad and a little emotional, and then it's like, oh, pain is love, and then you get into it. But really, you just kind of got to accept that with it being a different animal, it's where in a wrestling match, you go, all right, I'm going to get hit in the face. I understand that. There's going to be some throws. Now you have to accept that there's someone with a sharp object in their hand at any given moment, and they're going to try and plunge it into you.
Right.
So now, as opposed to, well, I got to try and avoid it, it's going to happen the whole time. It's not a one-time thing where you're like, oh, watch out for the fork. Mm-hmm. It's going to be the whole time. Someone's going to have a fork, a pizza cutter, barbed wire, a broken tube, fish hooks. Fish.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Fish hook.
I've seen that one once. That was
Ooh.
enough.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah, these deathmatch guys get kind of crazy with it. But there's stuff like that, and you have to accept that you're going to get caught with something because you are going in with the same idea that I'm going to plunge something sharp into them too.
Mm-hmm.
So you just get ready and understand that you're going to bleed,
Right.
and it's just something you have to accept. Whereas if I'm going in there with Fowler, I have to accept that we're going to go 20 minutes. Because there's no slowing him down. Even if he's kicking my ass, he's going to drag me around for another 10 until he's done. Until he's not having fun with this bleedy boy business, as they call it, the bleedy boys. You just got to understand that it's going to happen. You're going to see your blood. You're going to see his blood. There's going to be some things in the air that you probably don't want to breathe when those light tubes come open.
Right.
But that's kind of where it is you have to accept that there's going to be a different kind of hurt.
Yeah, the one that we went to, there's a running joke. I don't know if we'll include it, but we've always said, like, when Mid-Death stopped wrestling or doing their promotions here, there's always been this running joke, we're going to buy Mid-Death and hopefully bring it back. But the one show that I did go to was at that strip club. I don't know what it's called, but it was at that show, and they had a kiddie pool full of lemon juice.
Yes.
It was never used, but just to see like that, I was like, man, I don't want to fall in that normally, you know?
Salt at the bottom of that kiddie pool.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Yep.
But
I was
again,
there when they were constructing this doomsday device.
I was just looking at all that stuff. I was just like, man, they're going to use all this, aren't they?
Yeah, and deathmatching, it's such a different animal in the vein of that the art is in the misery.
Right.
It's not, obviously, you want to win, but the art of it is just how much suffering can happen to the other guy and what you're willing to go through. It's almost like watching two guys get crucified and see who passes out first. It's just misery. I'm a big Terry Funk guy, so like I'm not opposed to deathmatch stuff. I will never do the things that he did, but I'm not a stranger to having watched those matches, and that's where Terry would just. That's where he made a lot of his money, was on that too. Right. And so you watch it and you go, gosh, that was the art. It was all in the suffering.
Yeah. That's where I feel most people relate to it too, is like not necessarily the physical part of it or maybe like the conditioning of it, but just the suffering in general, and to relate to that wrestler, that time, or maybe the situation that they're going through, or the story that's being built. There's plenty of things to relate to in wrestling. That's the beautiful part about it. But to see these guys that we're starting to now become friends with, and then to go through something like that. And unfortunately, I wasn't at the show that you guys were, where you were part of it and wrestling O'Shea, but just to see some of the magic that comes out of those matches, and unfortunately how they don't happen because of, other issues that are within the state and whatnot. But to see you guys go through what you do and then to like be fine after is just, again, it credits you guys being superheroes. Like wrestlers are superheroes. It's just how it works, at least for me.
If we're going to be dumb, we got to be tough. So I imagine it's all just part of the territory at this point.
Exactly. No, I couldn't agree more. Now, moving on here, I don't know if you know how long you've held certain belts at all. Do you have an idea of how many days you might think? So let's start with the PWP Championship, heavyweight champ. How many days do you think you had that? Because it's a sizable run for sure. And I bet you it's probably in the record book somewhere. Maybe not at number one, but I guarantee you're up there.
Is it like 720?
Close. 680.
680, okay.
680, 2 years straight, though. That's incredible.
Yeah, that was a hell of a run, because I even wrestled. Can we talk about...
Well, we already talked...
They know better. I don't even know the situation.
That's up to you.
Okay, so there was this guy out of Canada that I wrestled.
There you go.
Yeah, Eric Cannon was another one on that one, too. There's a lot... Khan, all the time. Yep. I had Khan.
I noticed that too. There was a lot of matches.
Gosh, yeah. It was quite lengthy. I remember having a lot of fun with that run too, and yeah, that one was. God, was it only 680? I guess because it was.
Only right still.
Yeah. Well, I would have minded 720.
There's always. We still got plenty of time.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I'm going to break a 680 now.
Well, what? That's only 40 more days?
Yeah. We could. I might have to make a phone call.
Gotcha. Now let's jump over to 3XW. Tag team
titles.
champs with
Seto.
Seto.
That was over 1,000 days. 1,027.
1248.
1248.
That's a long time. That's 4
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. And who beat us for him?
I'm not sure.
Ricky and Kerry Morton.
Whoa.
Yeah, it had to be tag team royalty that took the belts off of us.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 years straight with the belts, though.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. How was your time out there with 3XW? That's a promotion I don't think I'm familiar with. I don't know about the rest of the marks.
It was good. So when I started, my trainer kind of was, I don't know, I would say kind of sour fruit in the area. So they didn't really trust us too much until we just kind of got out on the road, proved our worth, and got over with some of the guys. And then we had our opportunity with that, and we kind of weaved in and out, where we were there for a while, and then we weren't, and then they needed some guys, and then we came back. And then eventually, when the Snake Pit finally fired up and we had a chance and really got some steam behind us, that's when they're like, all right, let's bring you guys in and let's see what you got. And then it was,
Cool.
We ended up winning this tag tournament that they had to restart at one point. And so we were halfway through, they restarted it, and then we had to go back all the way through it again. And then we had them for 4 years after that. But yeah, I remember we took those belts everywhere. We were in Illinois defending them at some point. Gosh, I feel like we defended them in Nebraska at some point too. But yeah, we traveled everywhere that we could with them. And
That's
then
sweet.
and then when they came back for a hot flash there, they had Ricky and Kerry, and they're the guys who beat us for it. So
Right.
I was like, well, how mad can I be with Ricky Morton?
Right. No, I get
The
that.
tag team guy gets it.
Oh yeah. I mean, come on. You end the streak that way. How else do you end it?
I don't know if you do.
Yeah.
Cool. I wanted to touch base too because I try to do a little bit of research into Magnum too. Have you ever had singles titles there?
Yeah, so I was actually Magnum champion. That would have been 2018 into beginning of 2019. So actually, Donnie was a Piggy in the Bank winner,
Oh wow.
and I stole his piggy bank from him.
I can't imagine Donnie at the top of a ladder like that.
Yeah, he managed. He got it. It was
Just-
when we were at Sokol.
Like with what we saw with like Nitro just
Yeah.
recently. I mean, at the top of that ladder.
Yeah.
I don't want to be up
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not in those anymore. I'm okay with that.
there.
Those ladders hurt. But Donnie had got the piggy, and then I just stole it from him in the back. And I just stole it, and then I cashed it in. And listen, guys, and I'm not trying to get Nitro a punch in the face. There's no rule that says it has to be the guy who won it. You just have to have the piggy bank. Okay? So if you cash in the piggy bank, you get the benefits of the piggy bank. It's already down. Listen, this is a rule that got grandfathered in because I did it. Okay? So Nitro, watch your pig. All right?
Wow. I never would have thought of that. So
Yeah. So that's what I did. And then I cashed it in, and I beat up J.C. Slater there in the back alley. And I strong-armed a referee into counting because I cashed in the piggy.
Mhm.
And that was it. And that's when I became champ. There was no one around. It was in a dark alley. It was me and Alan Shepard, beat the hell out of him. And then I decided I wanted his belt.
hell yeah.
So I just took it from him, and then I was a champ for 6 months.
That's sweet.
And then I didn't even lose the belt. I'm not trying to say I'm cashing in on a rematch from 7 years ago,
Oh.
but I never lost it.
If there's ever a time, it's now.
Yeah, time's ticking.
But again, I mean, we'll just have to run back the dog collar match is what it sounds like.
Maybe with a smaller dog.
Well, I guess we'll get into the main reason of the interview and kind of what sparked us getting together and doing this podcast. Retirement. I mean, wild to even think of, right? And I know as you have 16 years, almost 17 years in the business, I'm sure that conversation has come up a lot. I mean, we all know how taxing wrestling is for your body. Not only your body, but your mental too. I mean, there's a lot of sacrifices that have to be made in this sport. So, was it an easy decision? Was it something that has just been gradually kind of, I guess, always on your mind? Is something catching up to you? Or I guess where do you come from that?
So with all of that, it's something that I've been kicking around for about 5-6 months now.
Wow.
it's not that I don't love it. I still love it. I'm still having a lot of fun. Getting in there, wrestling with my friends, working with new guys, and teaching them about everything. And their mind is very sharp, still creative, still love all this. This has been my first love, and it's always going to be. And it's not anything to do with my eye. I know there's been a lot of updates on my eye where this is wrong, but then this is wrong, and now this is wrong. They just told me that it's in my head. It's not going to work, and they're not going to take it out unless it's cancerous or it hurts. Well, it doesn't hurt, but it just doesn't work. There's no other underlying health concerns or anything like that. It's just at that point where I just feel maybe it's time to move aside to let some other guys step up. Because I won't say that I'm a cornerstone in Omaha because wrestling was here before me.
Talk your shit, Duke. I don't know how many times I gotta say it.
It was here before me. There's a great group of guys that got everything going. I'm just why the wheel got to keep rolling, right? And I've been fortunate enough to watch a lot of guys come up, a lot of guys on the way back down. I've got to watch a lot of things grow. I've got to meet waves of new fans. I've got to see a lot of great things with wrestling. My son standing right next to Sting is always going to be burned in my memory until CTE tells me I don't get to remember it anymore.
Right.
I had one booking in Montana where I met the fan, where her mom was a fan of mine, and everything was paid for to get up there, and I got to take my family to a vacation in Montana just from my hard work and my reputation. It got me there. Mm-hmm. I've got to meet so many great people. My son has stories that he should probably never have. Like, he has a $100 bill kerchief from David Arquette. Because there was something where Colt Cabana was teasing him a little bit, and he took one of the Starbursts. My son cried, and then Arquette paid him with a big $100 bill. And it was this big kerchief, and it's framed. It's a story that he gets to keep with him. It was like, you met David Arquette, and you have no idea or care. And he's like, no, I don't. Wow. And so wrestling's afforded me so many things that a goofy kid from where I came from should never have. Right, I shouldn't have the contacts that I do. I shouldn't have met the people I do, or met the people I have, and these great memories, these matches. Now it's just time for me to move aside and let other people come up and show it. I don't want to be one of these guys where they're around too long and at the top, and we don't let new guys come through. Mm-hmm. So it's just time for me to move to the side. And full disclosure, I only ever talked to one person about this. And it wasn't any of my inside boys. It wasn't any of my family. I had family calling me the day that I announced it to go, wait, what is this? What? Never heard anything about it. Are you okay? My friends are absolutely blown out off guard. I only ever talked to one person about it. And their insight was, you should probably just finish out the year. Because in full disclosure, I was ready to go ahead and call it good after the Falcone match. I was very comfortable with just saying, all right, now it's time to move off to the side.
Wow.
But I've always done this stuff on my terms. So it didn't feel right to just walk away that night. So I wanted to make the best out of my year here. I want to finish out, make it 17. And I'm already getting blown up about, hey, can you stay a little bit longer? The Magnet Management, yep, you're in my messages. Don't worry, there's Oklahoma and Arkansas talking too. We'll figure something out. But it's just time to move off to the side and let other people step up. I know there's a great crop of talent that's coming out of the school. There's a lot of great young guys that just need a spot. And I've had mine for so long. I'm okay with moving to the side and letting them have a chance. But not before I go out without a bang and give everybody something to remember. Because that's all I've done for years is try to give you guys moments. And if this is my last run to give moments, I'm going to do it.
That's beautiful. I mean, we were all surprised. I remember the group chat kind of blew up with us, and we're like, say it's not real. Say it's not real. But at the same time, I think all good things come to an end, right? And it's one of those things, too. It's like you said, you want it to be on your terms. It would be the worst or even devastating for something to maybe cripple you to the point where you couldn't have your final match. Like situations like Triple H or, people like that where they could have had that final send-off, but fortunately you never get it. In your case, I mean, you have a whole year ahead of you, 2025, maybe maybe, I won't say it, but maybe into 2026. We might see it Weekend Stripes 4. Who knows?
Yeah, they're trying.
Right.
There's a lot of people that are trying.
Who knows?
To where it's like, hey, we need you to come back to. I mean, you still got all this you got to do here. We haven't got this one figured out. My messages are laced with people trying to say, I mean, so how set are you on December? It's like, well, that makes it 17. I'm sure. That's why I've kind of just tried to stay away from the term retire, because that would mean that like I'm gonna get away from it.
Right.
This is very much when I get back from my last match, I'm gonna wash my gear, I'm gonna put it in the closet, and it's gonna stay there for a very long time.
Cool.
Not to say that there won't be someone that talks me out of it once or twice. Not to say that I won't get an itch and go, hey, how about we just have me in here for one more? You know, I won't. We don't retire, we die first when it comes to guys that run as hard as I do. But to actively come off the road, I'm not worried about trying to get this booking in Minnesota, or if I want to go back over to wrestle in Massachusetts again, or, you know, have a one-off in Rhode Island, which I could go hop on a plane and I could have a whole week of work if I go over that way.
Right.
You know, or say, hey, I got to get to California, or man, I never went overseas. You know, there's a lot of things that I didn't get to do, but there's a lot more that I did get to do. Right. And that's where I'm going to find my peace and my solace with it. It's just everything that I was fortunate enough to do, to be able to travel the world on another man's dime.
That's cool. I mean, it's incredibly special. And again, we were late to the party, unfortunately, but the last 3 years that we've been able to actually witness and see Duke Cornell, I mean, you've made a fan of all of us, and I'll be completely honest with you. There's not one mark that's like, nah, Duke's not good. Like, all of us have been unanimous in this. I mean, I'm pretty sure you have the most mark of approvals or seal of approvals or whatever from us, because it's a common consensus. So you've won us over, and we're probably one of the harder critics, but incredible. I love the way that you wrestle. I love the methodical. Obviously, I feel like a lot of people would probably compare you to like a Randy Orton, right?
I get that.
The snakes, the methodical, the way that you break down your opponent. I mean, there's not a lot of people that will limb target and to actually like pick on an ankle, pick on an elbow, pick on a shoulder. Like, there's not a lot of people that do that. It's a lot more of the bigger, flashier spots or the bigger slams or whatnot. So the way that you do that, I think, is why we're so enthralled by what you do. I don't know if you wanted to touch on that a little bit, maybe your creative process.
Yeah, but just to speak to, you guys haven't been fancy for the last few years. You almost didn't get to see it.
Wow.
Because I had moved over to the Northeast for a while, and it was when I was starting to head back, I got in contact with Strife, and he said, hey, I need you to come back because I got spots open, and I also have a bunch of these guys that need to get tested, which is guys like Brixton and McGregor and Nino. And it's like, I have 3 guys that I want to see if they can go. I need you to come back. You're the only guy that can do the tags and the singles. I need you to push them.
Wow.
And it was okay. And I knew he was kind of in rough health because we stayed in contact for a little bit there. We didn't have a falling out, but we kind of drifted away from each other. And it was, I need you to come back. I'll give you, you and Fowler can have the first match back, but then I need you to work with my guys. They got something. I want to see how much they got, though. I'm like, okay, you got it. And that was why I came back. Was he asked me to, and it was to take care of his kids. So they're all in good hands. They all get it. They're all smart. I'm crazy Uncle Duke. They always ask me for something. Peeling back the curtain just a little bit back on these jerks.
Right.
They do hit me up for advice. They do want me to pick apart their matches and help them out. And they're chomping at the bits for matches with me. I'm not going to say all 3 of them would text me about a match, but at least all 3 of them would text me about a match. And, it's the company's in good hands with those guys. But that's why I got to come back, is because he's like, I got 2 guys. They're going to be a tag team. I need my tag team back. I need my guns and beer. And so we got it rolling for him. And, I'll go ahead and talk my shit here. Yeah, Joey and I are why their game has stepped up. I've watched their tag stuff. I've watched what they did before us, and now I see the stuff they do after us. And they do a lot of the stuff that Joey and I used to do.
Wow.
And how they piece everything together and how everything is more fluid and cohesive after working with us. I definitely had affected the game for them. And same with Nino, the couple times that I've been in there with him. I was like, man, It's about moments. Look at you. You don't need to do all these crazy moves. Do the moments thing. The one thing that him and I ever did that stuck with him, we did all kinds of moves, whatever, flashbang, bop, bop, boops. But when he put the finger gun to my head, and then I put the gun in my mouth and walked at him, he went, it's moments.
Yeah, that's intense.
It's moments. I don't, like, we could have gone home after that. And I was like,
that was a picture in my head right there. So I can imagine how the people felt,
Yeah, so it was, I'm really happy with everything. But yeah, that's why I got to come back on all of it. But as far as like putting my matches and everything together, I'm a big Terry Funk, big Jake Roberts fan. So everything Terry did was slow, pretty crazy. He just kind of threw his body at you at some point, right? But he was at least a wild man when he did it, and you went, okay, that is a crazy bastard, and I don't want him to get his gnarled hands on me because it's going to hurt. And Jake was very smart about how he put all this stuff together. Like the blindfold match with Martel shouldn't have been that good. Mm-hmm. It was, but I mean that's such a doomed stipulation. You're running around blind. I can speak on behalf of that. I'm half blind. I've been half blind for most of my career. Mm-hmm. Now it just switched eyes, and it's like it's tough. Now you don't see any of it. Oof.
Wow,
you're doomed. But all of it made sense. He did a great job with it. So now that's where I get a lot of my psychology from, is to where it's guys like Jake. I grew up watching Orton as well because he kind of grew up before me, and so there's little pieces of him that I take away from it. Like the slow headlocks and the being kind of just boring when it comes to the heat. Like, doesn't need to be flashy. Right. You just got to win. So grind him down, beat him up, smash him up.
Yeah, Smash Mouth type is the type of style. I mean, I love it. I tend to gravitate towards a lot more of the like technical side of wrestling. I like your powerhouses and stuff, obviously, but people that can move locks around or to that know how to shift their weight and to actually put holds that are effective. Mm-hmm. It's few and far between. I feel like you do a very, very good job. There's some of those like. You have interesting like toe holds that you'll switch up into a headlock. Like there's a lot of interesting stuff you do, not to break it completely down, but I'm a big fan, a big fan. One thing I wanted to touch on too, we actually got to commentate. We got to commentate your match, and I also got to film your match up in New Sound, which was incredibly special for me. I thought I did a really good job, but I don't know if you watched your match back. Maybe not, being a wrestler.
Not yet. No, I haven't.
Okay. Just out of curiosity. But, we got to do that, which was super cool. And, again, just to be on this journey with you and to start out where we did, now what we're doing is just incredible. And to see how much work not only have you put in to get all over the U.S. and then also what we're trying to do is just it's incredibly special for us, obviously being super fans. 2025 being the biggest year for you, I would say. Obviously, there's a lot to come. We have a lot of the year left. Who's to say it doesn't go longer? I'm just trying to be a fan here, okay? But is this more about like a redemption thing for you? Do you want to prove yourself one last time, or is this more so just kind of like the final hurrah? It's coming to an end. Let's just make it the best we can.
There's nothing to really redeem. I don't have too much where I regret, and if I do, it's too few to mention. Right. I've done a lot of great things. I've met a lot of great people. I've had a lot of great matches, great moments. I know in this business they say you can either make money or make friends, but I think I made a little of both.
Cool.
So really, this is just a going out party is really what it is. It's if I get a name, as they call it. If you get a name, that's cool. One more feather in the cap. If it's, some young guy decides he wants to try and test me all the way to the end of the year, he decides to test me, and you know what? I'll go make him famous. It's wherever the year just kind of takes us. But, if I could get one more fair crack and then do it the right way when it comes to the Magnum Pro Championship, not mug a guy in an alley. And then, which, I defended it successfully numerous times after that. So it wasn't that I didn't deserve it. I just didn't earn it the right way. So if there's anything where there's any kind of redemption, it's to have a fair shot at it right down the middle and do it the right way. And Red Wing is an old war dog like me. I'm the one who introduced him to all this war. That's why he's so ready for guys like when Fowler had 3 guys on his flank,
Right.
Because I was doing that for months and months, almost a year. I was throwing guys at him. and then, I want to do it right. If I get one shot, and I don't throw my weight around too much with the company, like I really don't. I demand this, I demand that. I show up and I work hard. And that's all I've done ever since day one.
Nice.
And if there's ever anything where I'm going to try and pull any kind of politic, any kind of rank, it is try and cut the line to get one last shot and just show that I could do it. That'd be about the only thing. Other than that, whatever comes, comes.
That's super cool. I mean, it's going to be an incredibly special year. There's going to be a huge spotlight on you. I'm sure you're aware of it already. But I feel like a lot more people are going to be in tune with what you do for the rest of the year. I mean, up until the end. Again, he's going to live forever. But one of those things that we're really excited to be a part of and to see. So 2025, I know Carlos, another mark of ours, he said 2025 is the year of Nino. I don't believe him. We're going year of Duke 2025.
Nino's shitty little ankle needs to keep up with him is what Nino needs to worry about. He doesn't need to worry about what year it is. His body just needs to not suck.
Clip it, send it to Nino. But I think that's all we have for you today. It's been an incredibly special time. I really appreciate you coming in. I mean, all of the marks here, everybody that's part of the Mark Enterprises will say, we're very, very grateful. So any final words, anything you want to say? Do you want to talk your shit a little bit more, or are we good?
I just want to say thank you to everyone that's followed for this whole adventure, from my Curious George days to my cowboy days to my spooky boy days to even all the way, if you go all the way back to when I was wrestling in a shop in Wellman, Iowa, where I had sold all of my action figure collection to buy my first pair of boots and my first set of gear from Josh Prohibition. That's an old reference there with Josh Prohibition, but that was my first indie guide where I was like, this is independent wrestling. I love Josh Prohibition. I want to say thank you for every ticket that you bought, every shirt that you got, every other obscure piece of merchandise from our root beer that we had made to necklaces to coins to, pillows.
I have a ski mask. Patches, stickers, everything for loving me, for hating me, Carl, all of it. I want to say thank you. You've afforded me something that a guy where I come from doesn't get, and I get to have a bunch of stories, and one of these days, maybe I'll put together a book with all these crazy stories. And, I might have to wait out statute of limitations on a couple of them. So it might be an in progress. I don't know. Do you know, just by chance, would you happen to know the statute of limitations if you steal government property from the state of Missouri? Just like if you would happen to know. If I had to know.
You're from Missouri, aren't you?
So it's 15 years.
So it's going to be a couple years before the book comes out.
Don't ask why I know that.
Odds.
Because
Don't ask why I know that.
So hypothetically, I may know a couple guys that stole road construction equipment and then took it home with them. But by road construction equipment, I mean it was a bucket with concrete and a stick in it, and they renamed it Bucky, and made sure that the young guys couldn't ride with them because we needed to make room. They needed to make room for the concrete bucket. Is that still 15 years?
You're good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, so the book might be coming out sooner. Hypothetically.
Especially here's my buggy, apparently.
Yeah, we got to talk to Bucky and see if he's all right with me. If there was a Bucky, we got to make sure he's okay with it.
Wonderful. Well, again, how appreciative we are, and I think a lot of the fans will resonate with this. It's more than just Duke Cornell, right? It's you yourself. It's as human as you can be, right? Again, superhero, it's hard to do, but Duke, we really appreciate you coming. I know it was a little bit of a drive, so it's incredibly special to have you here. I'm super, super excited, and I'm looking forward to the rest of this year. Again, being one of my favorite local wrestlers, it's going to be harder when we get closer and closer. So it's super, super incredibly special having you here. Thank you. Thank you so much. But we'll just sign it off. If that check bounces,
so do you.
Goodbye.